All right. Welcome, everybody, to another podcast episode for LBW, Living in Black and White, the sitcom that is coming your way. We already released the pilot in early October, and we're going to be going forward with a couple more episodes at least here soon. We thought this would be great to be able to share some ideas that we have that we're going to be putting in our scripts for upcoming episodes. But to start, my name's Rick McMann. I'm the producer. Along with me today are my Hall of Fame actors, TK Russell and Nick Stites here. I had to throw that in there, Hall of Fame. And we are ready to kind of talk about the things that might not be real comfortable to talk about in today's world. But we're going to start on a really awesome topic for one of our episodes coming up here on masculinity. So let's get going on that topic a little bit here. And when I talk about masculinity, actually, I'm gonna start with you today because you gave me hell last time I started with the white guy.
Absolutely.
So you know, when that term masculinity comes up, what's the first thing that pops into your mind?
A man's a man is the first thing that pops up into my mind, and you can't help but to think about your upbringing when you were raised up, whether it was wrong or right. It was what you had. And especially in the Black community growing up in South Phoenix, we weren't really allowed to cry. Because if you was crying, they'd be like, boy, if you don't shut up, I'm going to give your ass something to cry for. Well, I'm already crying. You're right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You grow up with that grit, that toughness of where, that's the shit. None of this pussification.
Pussification, if you will. Yeah. What about where you grew up with this whole idea of masculinity? You were a football player too, so I'd be really curious to hear your thoughts on that.
It's kind of funny. I'm shocked we're giving away the secrets to the next episode. First off,
secondly, not everything.
I mean, it's kind of funny, right? I mean, in Los Banos, California, heavy Hispanic, but also a lot of white folks, and it's almost identical to what TK, without the mama saying, boy, you better quit crying. But yeah, it's very much like, you suck it up and you keep going. Watching a little football game today this morning, right? And kids are on the ground. I'm telling my other coaches, it's like, don't let these other teams see you hurt. Like, it's almost cool to be hurt, to be soft a little bit. So it's kind of funny where that's kind of taken these days.
Well, masculinity, I mean, in today's culture, I mean, we hear maybe even the term toxic masculinity, for example. Mm-hmm. And maybe can a man be too manly? I think that's the question that comes up in the world today.
Yeah. And according to today's rules, absolutely, a man could be too manly. And the definition of that, I don't know, right? Because I'm going to stick to what I know. And we didn't believe, and we still don't believe in coddling, right? So there's a fine line. So in today's world, even young boys are being coddled. Mm. Young boys, young men on the football field are being coddled. Oh, I hurt my knee. Are you hurt or are you injured? Because you can play if you're hurt, but if you're injured, we got to take you to the hospital.
And it's a blurred line now.
It's a blurred line. Yeah. I got a boo-boo on my knee. Oh, honey, come over here and let's sit on the bench and get you an ice pack. Get out of here with that bullshit. Yeah. That what I just said might be too masculine.
Well, yeah, football, it's interesting because, I mean, my perspective, I didn't play college and NFL like Nick here did. But from my own viewership perspective, it feels like the NFL might be a little softer today than it was 20, 30 years ago. And I don't want to say soft because these guys are still taking massive hits. I don't mean to disrespect any NFL player because these guys are tough son bitches. There's no doubt about it.
Agreed.
But you also don't have maybe Lester Hayes back there, from the Oakland Raiders ready to take your damn head off and not get penalized for it. Or, your quarterbacks are protected a little bit more. Is it maybe, I don't want to, probably soft is the wrong word, but is it just more protected these days from a football standpoint?
Yeah, it is. I've given a lot of thought on this, and anybody that knows me has asked me this question, and I don't hold back. Soft is not the right word, but we want to protect players these days, man. don't piss down our back and tell us it's raining. You want to protect the quarterback and the receivers, right? That receiver catches that ball, starts to go fetal, protect himself. Well, his head's getting pushed forward. Here comes the defender, and they make helmet-to-helmet contact, and then he gets a penalty. And then it's a 15-yard personal foul. And, oh, by the way, they might throw your ass out these days. And that's the kind of penalty that changes the complexion of ball games, which then gets coaches hired and or fired. And you're really kind of messing with people's livelihoods at that point. It's a dangerous game, man. Shit happens when you party naked. Like, it's going to happen. And so I hate how we, Roger Goodell and all the powers that be, they want to get this narrative out that, no, don't worry, Mom, the game is safe. You can bring Junior over. And it's a lot. It's not like when your father played. It's just like, yeah, you're protecting just a couple of players. You're over penalizing the other guys. These plays happen, bang, bang. You go to do a replay, it's frame by frame, and you kind of see it right there, and then you eject a guy, and yeah, it's I don't like that. The game is dangerous. Call it what it is.
Well, and we're not going to talk all about football today, but masculinity in football and sports. And when you think about like NHL, I love watching the NHL because they can still fight. They still like pull the pads, and they're just brawling. I used to love that in baseball, where Nolan Ryan would drill somebody. Who was it that he drilled? Robin Yount, maybe? I can't remember who it was now. He drills him. He comes out to take on the pitcher, and freaking Nolan Ryan beats his ass.
Right.
I mean, but you see that, the bench is clear and all that. In today's baseball, you're suspended for days and days, and is it probably the right rule? Probably, but it's still, there was something about having that passion and that energy come out and letting men be men on the athletic field.
Agree, but to your point, Rick, things have to evolve, if you will. And we talk about soft being the wrong word. Is probably more protection,
safety.
They're protecting their investment. Because these owners are paying these players millions and millions and millions of dollars. And let's not make a mistake. It's about the money.
100% agree. But, dude, it's a barbaric game. If we get into a little fuck you after the play and a little shove, just a little shove, it's a penalty. Like that's what I don't like.
That's the pussification
You brought
part.
up something really, I think, interesting. It's evolution, i.e. also progressiveness. I'm not the biggest fan of that. But, yes, it's – back in the day, man, you couldn't cry. Had to bottle up your feelings, right? And be a man, whatever the hell that means, or what that meant back then. And one thing I like about today's society, because I can certainly shit on it a lot, but it is okay to express your feelings. It is okay to cry. It is okay to be human. And I think that like we've realized that old school way of, you not crying, bottling up, be a man, that leads to
it doesn't
shit.
work.
Exactly.
It doesn't work.
So yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, and this is not something new to our society. I mean, we go back in the history of mankind, and there's been men that are say more masculine and overly manly, and there's more men that are maybe a little bit more on the feminine side. Let's say it's been in our history and our culture forever, but I think it's being called out more in our culture, where maybe men are maybe getting attacked for just being a man. But in some respects, when you try to look at both sides, which is what our sitcom's trying to do. We're trying to be fair here.
Absolutely.
And we're really trying to listen to both sides. No matter what side you're on, you got to try to listen to both sides. I mean, even for me as a writer, I mean, obviously I lean one way as with my politics, for example, but as a writer, it's I'm being challenged to listen to the other side and to write in a way to where we understand both sides and we hear both sides.
Right.
So on the masculinity thing, is it, how we feel about, are you going to get a manicure and pedicure, for example? How do you feel about that as a man?
Oh, it's so funny you asked that shit, bro. This is crazy because full transparency, in my whole life, I've had one.
Okay.
And that's with my beautiful wife. She talked me into it. And the reason why I say it's so funny, she just mentioned the other day, babe, you said that we were going to go get, babe, here's some money. Go take care of that shit. Because I'm not really going to do that. Right. I'll do my own shit. Right. And it's I don't think it's feminine. I think it can be relaxing. But in my 55 years, I've done it one time. Mm-hmm. Am I going to knock the next man for doing it? Absolutely not.
No.
If that's what he wants to do. But you know, I don't mind some calluses and shit on my hand. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm the dude that's got the little scraper from Amazon, and I'm scraping my own shit.
Right.
I'm cocoa buttering my shit.
It's kind of a socioeconomic thing a little bit, because I don't know a lot of poor guys that, you know, or blue, you know, 9-to-5ers that's kind of a luxury, and in a world that's ever increasingly more expensive. That's one of those very nice to haves. It's like a little bit of a status symbol, I guess, right?
I got you.
But,
Yeah. I mean, you know, look, I've never had a manicure or pedicure either, but I don't have any problem with a guy having a manicure or pedicure. And it's just maybe the way I was raised. Like, you know, even what you're talking about, Nick, about, you know, growing up and maybe, you know, I also grew up in, you know, Bakersfield, for example. So kind of Central California. And it was, you know, we're taught, you know, kind of boys don't cry kind of a thing, you know?
Sure.
I remember being in an acting class once though, and it was actually in Hollywood. And I remember one of the exercises we had to do is we had to pair up with somebody, and it had to be from the same sex. Okay. So I had to pair up with another guy, and we had to hug each other. Right. And we had to get to an emotional place to where we would cry.
Wowzer.
They wanted to bring you to crying. And so I was
And how long did it take to get past the awkwardness of
hugging
your new
no
friend?
Shit. Yeah. I mean, so here's what's interesting. I was actually paired up with a Hispanic guy.
Yeah.
Luis, shout out to the South Americans and the
Colombia.
And what's interesting, this guy got to tears quick. He got to he was sobbing. And I was almost laughing. Like I was going, shit, like I'm supposed to be crying.
Well, he might be acting. You don't know.
But no, it was authentic. It was authentic. I could tell.
Sounds like the guy aced it.
Back in South America, we'd kick his ass.
Hey, and how old were you, Rick?
I was like late 20s.
Shit. Okay, so this was in later years.
So, but bottom line is, I was almost like, you know, it was very awkward for me. If I did get to tears, it was barely. And I was almost like I said, like giggling to myself. This guy was crying, but it was an acting class. I mean, you know, you're supposed to get to the emotion, right? So I did. So I understood the exercise. But what's interesting is the Hispanic guy after the exercise told me, he goes, don't worry about it. He goes, all you guys raised in the U.S., you're raised to not cry.
That's right.
And he goes, in like Mexico, where he was from, they're raised to be, it's okay to show your emotion. He goes, my dad would cry, and it's okay to be cry and all this. But it was kind of his upbringing.
Bingo.
That he got to that.
Bingo.
Right.
Just like I said in the first episode, before you ask, real players don't cry, right? And that's where we come from. But here's the flip side of that.
Yeah.
The flip side of that is when you're taught to withhold your emotions and withhold your verbiage and your feelings and your tears, you grow up to be a man. Now you're all bottled up and you don't know how to handle shit.
Yeah.
Right? So it starts to overflow into anger or disdain or whatever it is because you weren't allowed to release that frustration and tension as a kid. So you grow up to be a man and you don't know how to handle shit.
Right. So masculinity. Once again, are you are you a man because you don't cry? Or are you a man because you cry?
Exactly.
Like you're okay to show that emotion.
And I see both sides.
Totally. Both sides of it. And
that's
kind of the point here, trying to talk about this masculinity issue.
Yeah.
So, you know, we had talked about toxic masculinity. And it's interesting because I understand where people are trying to come from with that. Like if you see somebody, you know, beat the shit out of their girlfriend and drag her by the hair down the hallway.
Yeah, bust a cap in his
that's
ass.
that's not even being toxic. That's being a dick. Okay.
Yeah, that's
not being too manly. That's just
you could argue it's above being a dick, but I don't know if that has anything to do with masculinity. That's a whole different problem.
It doesn't. That's prison. You need prison or reform or a bullet.
But that's where maybe that term toxic comes out. Like, they're being too much of a man, trying to dominate their woman or whatever like this. But it's like, it's not toxic. It's really just it's something about the character of that individual.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily even in the
word of masculinity
bucket.
Right.
And it's kind of funny as we're talking, you're asking these questions, you know, at the start, it's kind of like when that word, that's something I wanted to be when I was younger. And when I hear that now, it's not quite nails on a chalkboard, but it does have a negative connotation to me.
Toxic.
And we're just hearing masculinity.
Okay.
I can't help but put toxic at the front of that thing, right? And then have it,
right.
You know, released in my brain. So it's like, I don't know. It's funny you bring that up, but some of these things, like I think masculinity isn't beating a girl's ass or
Well, of course
doing
not.
something
Right.
like that.
No.
But it's just funny how that's kind of looked upon or looked at in our society these days, and it negatively.
So tell me if you agree with this. My definition of toxic masculinity would be a man in his masculine figure, if you will, talking down to his woman or talking down to any person, making them feel less than because he's a man and he was born with a penis and you weren't. So get your ass in there and wash them dishes, cook my dinner, do this, do that. That to me is toxic masculinity. You understand what I'm saying? And we can get into gender roles and all of that bullshit, but toxic masculinity to me is just that, bro. When you're that my way or no way, right?
Yeah,
That's toxic.
I think about. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I agree with you, but I feel like a lot of things in our society have shifted aggressively to one way, and so I think I'm drawing a blank here on examples, but I just think anything that's a traditional or stereotypical man, forget behaviors or even negativity. Just you look at a dude and you're like, that's a guy, that's a dude.
Yeah.
That is looked at in a negative light in today's American society. I feel like maybe I'm wrong. I have
To
been
some
once or
degree.
twice
To
before,
some
so-
degree.
Yeah,
to
to
some
some.
degree, Hoss.
Yeah, to some. I mean, we talked a little bit earlier. We talked about, think back to the 1960s, for example. Not that we were much alive in the 1960s, but basically, like in an office setting, and the guy was
Sure.
grabbing his secretary's ass, and getting away with it.
That's fair.
And now in today's world, you're
You
going
can't even
to
look at her
HR
ass.
and you're getting fired.
Yeah.
And maybe there's even been an overreaction where you can't even say, hey, you look really nice in that dress today. And all of a sudden that could be, going too far. So there's a point where it's like, look, good things have happened where they have, maybe, created some rules to where, guys can't just be guys in an
Yeah.
office, but they
Yeah.
also maybe have gone a little far where you also go, well, I can't even be like a human
Bro,
and ask them,
Bingo.
and say something nice about them.
Bingo.
Their hair looks nice, or they're,
I feel so sorry for the younger generation of men trying to be men. Basically, I true story. The other day it was at Target, bro. And I saw a young man trying to open the door for a girl. He didn't even know her. She goes, "Oh, you don't think I can open the door for myself?"
yeah.
I feel sorry for you guys.
Yeah.
That you're not allowed to be a gentleman because of the Me Too shit.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
Me Too,
Oh, it's
but
definitely Me Too.
I think it's this overcorrection of like, I get it, man. Women want to be empowered, and I would imagine, if I'm looking at this thing correctly, she's taking offense versus just a thank you, understanding that this is a person, regardless of gender, doing something nice. And I think that it's like she feels like she can sit there and tear old boy down just for doing something
Just for
nice.
trying to be a
It's
gentleman.
just fucked
Yeah.
up, but it's
Yeah.
whatever.
And that's a part of being masculine as well, if you ask me, opening the door for a female. Or anybody
Well,
for that
and
matter.
and once again how you're brought up.
Right.
You're typically taught that by maybe you see your dad doing it for
Absolutely.
your mom, or maybe you're just taught that. I know there's certain parts of our country where, like, I was just visiting in the South this last summer, where the kids are like, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am.
Mhm.
And I thought that was pretty cool that they, brought up doing that, kind of more of a respect thing, not really about masculinity. But once
Right.
again, it depends on the, part of the country and how you're brought up, and maybe all of these systems that are in place. But, this is something we're going to cover, fans, in our next episode, actually in episode 2 in masculinity. And we're not giving it away, except we're just kind of having just a conversation here between completely imperfect men. That's for sure. We don't claim to have all the answers here for everything in our society, but I do know this. People have their reasons that they believe certain ways. And we're really trying to hit that middle ground here as to, trying to understand where masculinity goes overboard, but where we can still be men.
Right.
In this world that we live in. We're going to be hitting on a few things in our next episode. And it is a comedy.
Right.
Once again,
Right.
we try to bridge the gap on trying to address topics that, even with this podcast, we may get negative comments and people just going, oh God, you guys don't know shit about masculinity. And if we don't, we don't. I like I said, I confess, I don't have all the answers.
Right.
But I will say that, the comedy behind it, we'll try to poke fun at both sides is what we're really trying to do, whether you believe that, on the NFL side that, somebody should be taken off the head of the quarterback, or whether it should be safety first and make sure that these players can still walk after their career's over.
Sure.
Right.
But we'll hit on some of these topics.
I agree, man. And because I do believe CTE is real. It's a real thing. But when we were playing football, it was, you got his bell rung.
Yeah. Got your bell rung.
Yeah, you know
How
what I
many
mean?
times you get your bell rung?
You got your bell rung. He didn't even wear a helmet. Are you kidding me? We already talked about this, bro. The hell are we talking about?
Yeah, episode 1. Yeah. Didn't.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll be covering more of these topics. We appreciate you watching the podcast today on masculinity. There's so much more that we could cover on this, but we thought that would just kind of give you a little bit of a hint for what's coming up in episode 2. That's going to be being shot here, hopefully within the next several weeks here. But stay tuned for the next podcast. You're not going to want to miss the next podcast. You know what the next podcast is about?
What is it about?
I'm not even going to tell you guys. You're going to have to tune in
bro.
to the next podcast to check it out, because I'm telling you, we're hitting on topics that are in today's world. They're alive and well. And believe me, there's a lot of, divisions on some of these topics that we are going to try to, from a comedic way, have us all kind of see more of a middle ground here. So until next time, this is Rick with TK, Nick. We'll see you next time on the LBW podcast. Peace.